Welcome to the 10-Minute Life Lesson Podcast. My name is Cleveland Payne. I train people for improved personal and professional development, offering my assistance to those ready to develop their goals into tangible, focused, and achievable plans of action. And this podcast is one of the tools I use to accomplish my mission. Generally, when the timer hits 9 minutes and 59 seconds on this recording, you'll have a fully developed life lesson that you can take with you and begin to implement immediately. And if this week's lesson has a ring of familiar, then it's probably a reinforcement of a life change you've already started to implement. This podcast falls under the umbrella of my greater personal development efforts, all under the Your Better You brand. For more information on accountability coaching or to gain access to tools, tricks, and life hacks, visit yourbetteryou.info. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. Now, here is this week's life lesson. Everyone will find themselves faced with a situation where they'll be asked to speak up. This may be a speaking engagement where they're asked to speak to a large group of people, or there may be a small meeting where they have something that's supposed to be important to say that they're supposed to present, and they'll be asked to speak up, to speak about it. No matter what size the crowd is you're going to address, or maybe it's just a one-on-one conversation where you feel you need to speak up and be confident, there are skills that can be learned for those who are not very good at speaking to be confident in their speech. Today is an extreme crash course in speaking effectively and speaking so that you have confidence. There is no way to go through the full details of what I'm going to give you in 10 minutes. In fact, we have 10 different steps to get to in what's less than 8 minutes at this point. But if you want more information, I'll have a way for you to get more information on these tips and how maybe I can help you with your speaking and your messaging. More sales stuff later. Right now, let's start off with step number 1. And you'll always start at a sense of nervousness. Despite how many times you speak in front of people, once you get the notion that you must speak about something in front of people, you'll have a quick bout of nervousness just to go over what it is you have to do, the gravity of what's going to happen, and what may or may not come from the words you say. From there, you start the preparation. You study up on who you need to speak to, how you're going to speak to them. Yes, there is a who and how in those cases, and what exactly it is you must say. After your preparation, after you know your topic, after you know your subjects, after you know your audience, you start your practice session. And even if it's something that you know, like the back of your hand, something that's just inherent knowledge to what you do, you still have to practice what it is you're going to say and how you think you're going to say it, the delivery. You may not know exactly how much time you have. You may end up with less time than you think. So the best you can know about what you're going to say, taking a long speech short or stretching a short speech out if necessary, comes from practice. Right before we get started with whenever you're going to speak, even if it's something that's spontaneous, take a breath. Take a breath so that you can properly give your presentation. Take a breath so that you can properly center yourself to what you're about to do. There may be some great gravity to what's going to happen, or you may just be trying to press someone on a first date situation. Take a breath, center yourself, and get ready. In your mind, while you're taking that breath, rehearse in your head what you think you're going to say, how you think you're going to deliver it. Yes, you already practiced and you did your preparation for what you needed, but do a quick in your mind rehearsal. Focus on what you think is going to happen and run it through very quickly. You can see in mere seconds of just doing a quick test that things may not sound as great in your head as you think they will out in your words. Like sometimes I do when I do these podcasts. Or you'll hear something in your head that you know instantly not going to work and you can shift it right away. Give all the focus and attention to the people who you are speaking to. And that is large group of people. Focus on the audience out there if you're on a stage, or that one person in front of you if you're just having a one-on-one conversation. Make sure they are the focus of what's going on. Yes, you have information to get out. Yes, you have things to say. Yes, you need to get some sort of confirmation from the person or the people, but don't focus on what it is you're saying, the confirmation you must get, the major thing that may happen after this thing is over. Focus on the people, how they feel, how they're reacting, how they're understanding what's going on. If they don't understand it, you won't get any sort of good response, period. And while you should have taken out all the complex pieces while you practiced your speech and maybe in your rehearsal in your head, you may find that things are going a little too over their heads once you get out there, or that they're getting it so quickly you don't have to go so deep into the weeds. If that's the case, You just simplify what you're saying. And if you're going to get a chance to practice this, if your speech now is a practice for something larger, then perfect. You know exactly what isn't working, and you can go ahead and be sort of over the top, because then you'll know exactly how hard it will hit or not hit. But if you're giving it and this is your one shot, you're having that conversation, is your one chance to get it through. If you're speaking to this large crowd and it's your one chance to impress them, and it's not going well, or it's going really, really well, sometimes the two happen and you have to deal with it there. Simplify the speech. Simplify what you're saying. Cut it down. Chop it up into pieces. Get to the point where you can go ahead and get the sale, as opposed to going over people's heads and boring them out of doing it, or going too long and letting them find something else to focus on. Something that seems odd to place towards the end of a list of things to do in making sure you seem confident in front of a crowd of speaking is to visualize success. And while you should do that from the very beginning, after you get over the nervousness, you should visualize your success days ahead of time. You should also visualize success in the moment. While I tend to use too many sports analogies in basically all my speeches and all my writing, this is a perfect time to drop one here. Think about a sport where the score goes back and forth constantly, something like basketball, where things are on the swing momentum. What you do when you're not seeing your success and you're falling behind is you start to visualize what going back ahead looks like. Visualize what success is. Visualize what getting back into the rhythm of things looks like. And that momentum will shift for you. On the flip side, your other team is doing the exact same thing. And when they are on the downside, they do a few things to shift the momentum their way. And it's not just so much in the actions. A lot of it is literally visualizing success, seeing the ball go into the hoop, seeing you score that touchdown, seeing the bat swing and the crack hitting and the ball going over the fence. Visualizing success in the moment is awesome. But remember, you should also visualize success well before, so you know what you think you're looking for. Just keep it going while you're in the moment. And something that's also odd placing here, because we already talked about focusing on your audience, is the fact that you need to connect with who you're talking to. And they're two different things. Focus means making sure that what you are presenting is based on who they are, what they're going to get, and how they're going to understand it. Connecting is actually sealing a deal and getting a impromptu relationship, or maybe building a real relationship, but connecting in the moment with the audience so that they see that you're in tandem going back and forth. It may even be some sort of confrontational issue that you're speaking on, but that doesn't mean you can't make a connection. You can't come to some sort of mind meld where you're in tandem in what you want overall. Even if your tactics look a little different, you're looking for the same thing. So you make a connection so that you and them, either the mass crowd or that one person, are in tandem, ready to work towards whatever. And it's just a matter of you presenting it in the right way and being confident. And of course, the number one thing about being confident in your speech is to act confident. This is not faking it till you make it. And we do that a lot in my speeches, talking about really faking it till you make it and actually faking it until you make it. This is a time where it's really about acting confident. Part of the demure of doing this is putting on the airs, like being an actress or actor. They know that the house isn't really on fire or the asteroid isn't really headed towards the planet, but they're acting just like it is and putting on its best effort to show you. And while there must be some suspension of disbelief in a lot of cases, and there may be in the case of however you're presenting, you will see from their acting confident, and they will see from you acting confident, that you know what you're talking about. It's the proper setting, the proper words, and that's how you'll either sway the people towards your manner or just appease them in the moment. So while I know this is not the finest presentation that I've given of these 10 concepts, I am confident in at least acting that way, that I did present them in a way where you can quickly understand and take them in. Now, the practice and getting them mastered is something that will take time. Practice, 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 repetition, repetition, repetition. You've heard me say those plenty of times before, but that's where this comes out. You can't just instantly be confident for a speech. That's never going to happen. But if you know it's coming, you can prepare for it. And if you follow these 10 steps, you will always be ready and always find a way to seem more confident, even if you don't have it internally when you give a presentation or just speaking to someone that may make you nervous because of their stature or standing. Thank you for listening to this week's podcast. Because things are as they are in the real world, things are a bit of flux and all sorts of crazy in actuality. A lot of things going on, most of them good, some of them not so great, but it is what it is in life. So because this was written on, basically sketched out in a kind of very not a very well presented form, I'll have to take a little time to actually clean things up, change some things out, do some spell checking, something I'm doing much more of, and have something presentable for you. So if all works out great, by the time you hear this podcast, you can get basically a rundown of the 10 steps I gave you in a document you can take along and work with. And it will be at jclevelandpayne.net/speakup. That's jclevelandpayne.net/speakup. It will eventually go some other places, and it'll probably live inside of Your Better You on its own, because that's where you're getting this actual presentation through yourbetteryou.info. But for right now, we're just going to put it on my main website, jclevelandpayne.net. And if you hadn't figured out by now, you can find things about me directly, a lot of other projects, at jclevelandpayne.net, and email me at jclevelandpayne@gmail.com. For all things yourbetteryou.info related, obviously go to yourbetteryou.info. That's the home for this podcast, the 10-minute life lesson. Also, Steps Your Better You, which is only 90 seconds. You can email stuff directly related to this one by going to yourbetteryouinfo@gmail.com. And check out the website for plenty of great things. There are, of course, both of these podcasts and articles written every single week that go towards personal development. And you can find information about coaching and other personal development things that I can help you get better at. In the meantime, I thank you once again for listening to this podcast, because I get better at it each and every time I do this. This one with its current episodes rank over 200 episodes that are in this genre. Yes, I do count that 150 before and the in-between one, so that makes it kind of a cheat, but I'm glad to have 200 episodes in this genre from this project, and it just makes me feel good. I'm glad that you've been here for the ride, however long you have been. Thank you so much for that. Keep up with us, and as I said, email me or reach out via the websites, and let's connect. Let's see what we can do. It doesn't have to be a coaching thing. It doesn't have to be a paid thing. It's just a, hey, what's up thing. Maybe you're looking for a new friend, and I'm an adult looking for new friends as well. We might be on that level as well. In the meantime, thank you so much for what you have done, what you will do, and what you're doing right now, because I'm pretty sure it's awesome, and it means a lot to somebody at this moment, including me. We'll talk to you next week for another great episode. I am thinking positive. I am thinking with confidence that it will be great next week from the 10-Minute Life Lesson Podcast. It's brought to you by yourbetteryou.info.